two American women alone against the world. No weapons, no training, no skills, but they're all that stand between us and something? We are the Spy-Fi guys, and this is The Spy Who Dumped Me.
So, welcome back to the Spy-Fi guys. This is Christian.
And this is Zach, and we are recording in our home studio live and in person for the first time.
Yeah, so if anything sounds a little weird, that's probably why.
I have a new microphone, and we are in Christian's home studio, so this is pretty exciting. It's not over Discord for a change.
Yeah.
And we have quite the movie for you guys today. Quite the movie.
Yeah, I feel, and we said this when we were talking about this before. I feel like transitioning from any movie to this is going to be a whiplash, but let's just roll with it. So the movie is The Spy Who Dumped Me, starring Mila Kunis and
Kate McKinnon, and some other people. Also, Gillian Anderson makes an appearance. Yeah. And it's a comedy movie, and it's on Hulu right now, and I think it came out in 2018. Fairly recently.
Somewhere around there, yeah. It's also on Amazon Prime right now, too.
So this is a classic spy parody movie. In the vein of North by Northwest, where you have an ordinary person who gets caught up in a spy.
All right. I was going to say, you consider North by Northwest a parody?
Well, okay, yeah, you're right. It's not a parody, but
it is in the same vein. Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of movies like this where it's parody of James. We say spy movies, it's really James Bond movies. Yeah. Though this has some Jason Bourne thrown in. Yeah, some Mission Impossible maybe. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get started. Let's pull up the synopsis from IMDb.
Okay.
Audrey and Morgan are best friends who unwittingly become entangled in an international conspiracy when one of the women discovers the boyfriend who dumped her was actually a spy.
So pretty much what the title says.
Yeah, pretty much what it says on the can. Yeah.
So my initial reaction to this movie is that it's 1 hour and 56 minutes long. Are you freaking kidding me for a comedy movie?
I mean, I was glad, I've been watching some other movies, like Face Off, for example, and that's, longer than it should be. So I think it's just, and that was back in the, early, mid-90s. Mm-hmm. So I think it's even gotten worse with how long movies have gotten.
Maybe it's if you're going to spend $13 to watch a movie in theaters, and it is $13 where we live, then you better get a lot of content. But I gotta say, in the last half an hour, I was like, please just let this movie be over. Well, let's jump right in, shall we? I'm sure we both have a lot of notes about what's going on. So, the beginning, we have the spy from the title.
Yes.
And he's doing surveillance in Lithuania.
Not just any place in Lithuania, Vilnius, Lithuania, which is where Sean Connery's character from The Hunt for Red October is from. They called him the Vilnius schoolmaster.
Vilnius did sound a little bit familiar, but I couldn't figure out where it was from. So nice catch on that. And I like how everything in the scenes in Eastern Europe are gray, because it's Eastern Europe and everything's depressing there.
Yeah.
But something right away, and I gotta say, as much as I like to trash on this movie, the action scenes are really good.
That's true, but it makes it a little jarring with the comedy, because you'll have someone getting shot, and then almost immediately, and it's kind of graphic, but almost immediately they're making jokes. So it's a little jarring. But I agree with you. The action is really good.
Isn't it a little bit like Kingsman, though? Where they like to joke around and then there's extreme violence?
But the extreme violence in Kingsman, I would say, is more cartoony. It's extreme, but it's also cartoony in a weird way. In that big fight in Kingsman, you have, someone who gets punched and you literally see a tooth flying across the screen. So it's a bit more cartoony, but also violent.
So, yeah, with this, there's more of a contrast. The action scenes are action, and there isn't very much comedy in them, and then there's the comedy dialogue scenes. But right away, we get good action, which I appreciate. But then we cut to our two main characters.
So we have Audrey, who is played by Mila Kunis, and it's her 30th birthday, and they're at some bar, and Morgan, who's Kate McKinnon's character, is singing or something?
Yeah, she sings.
So she's singing a take on Happy Birthday, I guess. And we find out that Audrey's boyfriend has dumped her via text.
Yeah, in a very non-Bechdel test passing scene. They commiserate over men. Specifically this one man and how they're going to get back at him.
Huh, that does actually make me wonder. I wasn't paying attention in the moment, but does this pass the Bechdel test?
I think it does. I think there are scenes where they talk about I am woman, hear me roar.
That's true, yeah.
There are a lot of scenes of just them talking.
You're probably right, yeah.
So, not that means very much, but it's true. And then we also have this friend named like Tawny or Tammy or something like that, who is like kind of a jerk.
The worst.
But she means well.
Does she though?
I don't know. I don't remember what she said that got Mila Kunis so upset.
Oh,
I only watched it a few days ago.
Something to the effect of like, oh, you guys make such an interesting couple, and you'd expect him to be with someone much more interesting, but then you see this and it works.
Oh yeah, that was pretty funny. As backhanded compliments in movies go, that's definitely a highlight.
I'm actually surprised I remember all of that.
We get like more action with the boyfriend, and then
or the ex-boyfriend,
such as it is. And I actually tried to write down the lines that actually made me laugh, and one of them was Kate McKinnon saying that she couldn't play a Ukrainian farm girl because she was too authentic.
Yeah, right. I think she has most of the laughs in this movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, she is a comedian, so I would hope so. There's a lot of Ukraine in this movie, which is interesting because Ukraine tends to pop in and out of the news.
Well, I think, listeners, you can call us out on this if I'm wrong, but I think Mila Kunis is from the Ukraine.
Yes, I think it's just said Ukraine. Not to call you out.
No, in the movie, they even call out this thing they say, where Kate McKinnon asks the guy who's from the Ukraine, is it called the Ukraine, or is it just called Ukraine? And he's like, well, it depends.
He sort of dodges the answer. I seem to remember somebody writing on Facebook that you don't say the Ukraine, but maybe it's like the Amazon, where the Ukraine is a region, but also the name of a country.
It could be, maybe. Well, we can do a little more research on this, and...
Yeah, I don't know if I care that much. Something that I think was kind of funny was that Audrey gives Morgan her phone to like look something up or something, which is actually pretty unusual in movies. Usually smartphones are only used as phones or as cameras, but not usually as internet connectivity devices.
Right.
But she gives her a phone and she opens her phone and the text from the ex-boyfriend is like up there immediately.
Well, we know.
So was she like staring at it?
Probably.
Or did it like just happen like 5 minutes ago?
I don't know. We don't know what time frame and when it happened, but I think, I know she is sort of dwelling on it, so I think she was just like looking at it, probably.
Yeah, it's a little dark.
Yeah. Drew apparently left a bunch of stuff in Audrey's place, and Morgan suggests, no, let's light it all on fire, because he's gone, and let's purge this out of you.
But I like how that was what finally got him to break the ghosting and break the radio silence and come back to them. So is the lesson there that it will actually work? If you want someone to come back to you, just threaten to destroy their stuff?
Well, maybe if there happens to be some sort of secret thing hidden in the statue, then yes.
Yeah, but so you just have to get lucky. Yeah. I like how it was a second place fantasy football trophy. That's another thing that made me laugh, is they were like, fantasy football, second place!
It's not even real football.
I mean, I like fantasy football, but, I don't also mind when people trash it. I also, in the same scene where he is calling her and he's like, don't burn my stuff, he makes a microwave bomb.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Burn Notice?
I did, yeah.
Do you remember the one where Michael Weston makes a microwave bomb?
I feel like that happens in a few of them, but yeah, I've seen some of them where they do that.
Well, I like in the spy voiceover, or the Michael Weston voiceover, he says, just hit popcorn. And he hits the popcorn button. So after that, we get the title credit, and then we get a flashback, which became confusing because the flashback ended and we went back to the present, and I didn't know like what was happening.
Yeah, so we have a number of these flashbacks, and I don't think we need to split it up as we're talking about them, but basically the gist of it is that in these flashbacks we find that it's, I don't remember how many years ago, but they met again on her birthday, seemingly in that same bar, and they're flirting, and one of the things they flirt about is like, what's the worst song in this jukebox? I didn't know what the song that they played was, did you?
I might have it written down somewhere, but I feel like that would be a pretty hard challenge, because as soon as you find one terrible song, you keep looking, and there's probably another.
Right.
I did like in that scene when she says, I wear it for warmth, referring to her like birthday crown.
Yeah.
We get that flashback scene, but then we move forward, and she's meeting a hot guy at her job.
Yeah, so she seemingly works at some sort of like Whole Foods type, or Trader Joe's type.
Yeah. And doesn't Kate McKinnon work with her?
It's unclear. I don't think so.
Okay, I think I saw a blonde woman standing behind her. I
it
thought it was
been.
Kate McKinnon, and then it wasn't. Yeah. But that was confusing because the way it was edited made it seem like she met Drew, the spy, and then the next day she meets this other hot guy. But actually, it's however many years later. It's back in the present.
The guy buys a pack of gum and then asks for help to his car, which It's a cheesy line, but seems to have worked.
I've listened to too many true crime podcasts I was like, that is like in real life, it's like a warning sign.
Right. And that's, I mean, she even says that, I'm being really trusting, this is kind of thing where or if you were the wrong kind of person, I get it kidnapped into a van.
Which is exactly what happens.
Exactly.
I guess that's clever enough.
So the guy who, the aforementioned hot guy who's played by...
I don't know. I don't care.
I had his name earlier.
It's not like an actor that you're going to know.
Well, it actually is because he keeps being rumored for Bond.
Oh, so that's why you follow him.
Yeah, well, that's why I know of him. Sam Heughan. Yeah, so he was in Outlander, apparently. He's like one of the main characters in Outlander, which I haven't seen. But yeah, his name keeps getting popped up for Bond along with, what's his name? Dan Stevens and Henry Cavill and a few others.
I'm still holding out for Damian Lewis.
Too old.
We'll see. So,
anyways,
it's revealed that he works for the CIA.
Yeah, his name's Sebastian. He has an associate whose name is
it's like
Duffer.
Walker? Yeah, Duffer or something.
Who's kind of a jerk who constantly brings up that he went to Harvard.
Which is hilarious, because that's totally something someone in real life would do. I like Duffer. And so they're asking about Drew. And they have a picture of him, like, executing someone, or shooting someone execution style.
Who keeps these photos?
Well,
I mean, okay, the CIA does, fine. But
so then,
it's just
yeah.
Why would you have that in the folder? I don't know. It seemed excessive to me.
Well, it shows that he's like a bad guy, which is interesting because then she immediately lies to them.
Yeah.
Even though she said earlier that she's bad at lying, which I know is going to be a plot point. It's so obvious. But I just didn't understand, like, why she would lie to them.
I mean, because she doesn't know who to trust. These guys could be making up crap. And also, I think it's fairly obvious when she is lying there, though.
Well, it's obvious to us, the audience. Uh-huh. But also, it's like, if they're the good guys and Drew is the bad guy, why would they kidnap her? Why wouldn't they just pose as police and be like, excuse me, are you aware that this guy is like a terrorist or something like that? Or am I overthinking this movie?
Maybe overthinking it a little bit, but to overthink it even further, they're a secret joint task force that has, no record and no authority anywhere. So it's not really, not no authority, but no, like, jurisdiction, really. So...
Well, technically, the CIA doesn't have jurisdiction to operate inside the United States. But, of course, we see that in movies all the time. Yeah. And this is no exception.
That's why I think that's why, because they technically have no jurisdiction over here, so they can't really legally say, come in, pull someone into, say, a room and say, no, this is what's going on.
Mm. Okay, so moving forward a little bit, I just have a note that Morgan tells her mom literally everything,
yep.
which is funny. And then we see Drew again. He returns through a window,
yep.
which is
it was a good line. He's like, I couldn't remember if you're 3A or 3B.
By the way, I was thinking about this while I was watching the movie, but Drew isn't really a spy, is he? He's more like a secret agent. You don't actually see him do any spying.
No, I mean, I'm surprised this hasn't come up before, just the difference between you're an actual spy, someone who's gathering intelligence, versus a covert agent who is doing the James Bondy thing. And really, do those people exist? Really, not in the typical James Bond mode.
Well, I'm just trying to think about people in real life. So, like the Mossad agents from last week, they weren't collecting intel on anybody.
That's true. No, they were extraction. Yeah.
So they would be considered secret agents.
I guess so. All right, yeah.
And, like, what about the IMF from Mission Impossible?
Well, they aren't real, first of all, but...
But, like, let's say hypothetically if
they would fall into that, for the covert action phase, basically.
So then there's the classic red dot joke. Oh my gosh, is that a red dot on your face? What's up with that?
And you would think that... Because Audrey seems to be the kind of person who plays a lot of video games.
Watches a lot of television.
And would know what that meant. So that caught me as like, really, she should know what that means. I mean, maybe you're not thinking in that moment, like, hey, that's weird, why do you have a laser pointer on you? But she would at least call it a laser pointer, not just like, what's that dot thing on your head?
Yeah, it's like, I feel like people would know. Maybe it's because of the spy movie cliche, that anytime there's a red dot sight, people always go, oh my gosh, what's that red dot? Red dot. What do you mean? Ah! And then gunfire explodes everywhere,
Yeah.
This movie's built on tropes, and you just gotta embrace it.
It is very much so.
Just like The Hunt for Red October. So another pretty good fight scene. We have a naked guy, your Ukrainian friend. We get male nudity.
Yeah.
Hey, there's usually rated R movies like this. It's female nudity only. We can handle a little comeback.
Because I've seen this before, and I didn't remember that, so when I saw it, I was just very surprised.
Yeah, it's revealed that the naked guy is in fact a bad guy and kills Drew. Or does he? Spoiler alert.
But yeah, so before he dies, Drew tells them to go to Vienna, go to Cafe Sheila, and meet someone named Vern at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And
or else something bad will happen. Doesn't say what.
So Audrey and Morgan go out the fire escape as armed troops come through the door. Who are these troops?
Great question. I mean, I assumed it was like a SWAT team. Well, it's obviously a SWAT team, but probably like some kind of paramilitary working for the same guys as Sebastian and Duff.
Oh, so that joint task force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, come on, it's like a Jason Bourne movie. He's always beating up just like random SWAT teams.
Yeah. So Sebastian calls Audrey as they're escaping, and demands to know whether they're taking the packages, but they don't trust him, so they don't tell him anything.
But they leave their phones on. It's like, come on, you've seen a spy movie
before? Later on, they realize it at least.
Much later.
It's only once. So they go to the airport, and I do like they actually think it through and say, oh, we don't have any luggage. We need to buy luggage, and we have this one trophy, so we need to make it look like we have just a lot of trophies that we're carrying around. So they actually buy a bunch of trophies, including, best grandson?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a decoy move, because if they're looking for a trophy, you have like 50 trophies.
Yeah, it's a good move. But, so they, and so when they go to the airport, it's only like 2 minutes later, at least in movie time, when they realize, when they were in line for security, they realize, we should, turn off our phones. And this is where we're getting dropped, Chekhov's gun. That Morgan grew up knowing Edward Snowden. They went to, like, theater camp together or something?
Right. Which wouldn't necessarily make you good at spying, because Snowden wasn't a spy, or maybe he was. I don't know. Yeah, I like the line about, you're going to die having been to Europe, or I want to die having been to Europe, which is some good dialogue there. I don't remember exactly how it went. I was confused about why they have trophies in airport stores.
For that last-minute gift? Yeah, pretty much. Well, do we know that I'm trying to remember the chain of events. Are they already at the airport when that happens?
When they get the...
when the trophies. Okay.
Yeah, when they get the trophies.
Were they supposed to be in L.A.? That actually makes sense, then. Because as a souvenir, people bring home, like, fake Oscars.
Yeah. Okay.
So, if it was anywhere else, I'd say that makes no sense, but LA, I buy it.
Yeah, it isn't established where they are, but sure. I think
because they say later on you're going back to LA.
Okay. The fact that they make it through security is kind of ridiculous. I mean...
Well, they had their passports with them.
Well, did they ever really establish whether Sebastian was actually CIA?
He was MI6.
Oh, but then Duffer
is CIA.
So then he would be able to have them stopped at airport security with just a phone call. Just put them on the no-fly list. But then there wouldn't be a movie.
Well, true, but I feel like that would take some time. It's not an immediate thing.
I'd like to think it'd be immediate, but maybe I have a little bit more faith in these institutions than others. I have a thing about a 7-Eleven sushi.
Oh, it's judging Drew, because they didn't think Drew could be a spy, because he's the kind of person who calls sushi from 7-Eleven Japanese food.
Oh, because he's like unclassy.
Yeah.
Not classy is the idea.
Exactly.
I don't know, he seemed like a classy guy to me.
Yeah.
We don't really get to see very much of them together.
That's true. You really only see that, that first meeting. And so...
Yeah, which is just because they have the whole kind of premise of the movie built around it. Do you ever feel like this movie, they came up with the title and then wrote a movie around it?
Probably. Or they had the title and Kate McKinnon and said, all right, let's write this movie.
Yep. Oh, then I have a literal shit joke. Oh yeah, it's when it's when they're in the cafe and Kate McKinnon is having diarrhea or something.
Yeah. So, let's rewind. They get to the cafe in Vienna and they realize they have no idea what Vern looks like and that Vern will be looking for Drew, not them. So they're trying to figure out, all right, what do we do? And
you wouldn't just ask everybody there if they're Vern?
No.
I mean, I would do that.
Maybe. Well, don't volunteer that information that you're looking for someone named Vern, because then they say, oh, of course I'm Vern. Whoever, if they're, not on their side. So, Kate McKinnon goes to the bathroom, and she finds that the waitress who'd been waiting on them this whole time, his name is Vern.
Well, she wears a name tag named Vern.
Or at least, which they're, through a meal? So they should have noticed that by now.
I don't know. I won't even question stuff like that. More to the point, this is where the sort of plot starts.
Yeah.
Where you don't know who's on which side.
True.
And I hate how these spy comedy movies do that. I have enough trouble following a normal movie. Who do you think Vern now that we're gonna obviously we're well into the movie, but like,
Yeah.
who do you think Vern was working for?
Oh, for the terrorists.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
that's because the Jew eventually is revealed to be in fact the bad guy, which I think we probably saw coming.
Yeah. Actually, when I was rewatching this with my wife, we were just like, what was the twist? Oh yeah, the boyfriend, the one who dumped him, is the bad guy. So, which
I think it would have been more of a twist if he wasn't the bad guy.
and that if Sebastian was.
No, if Mila Kunis was the bad guy the whole time.
Ooh.
See, they should have me write these movies.
All right. Yeah. So, but Sebastian comes in, claims that he's Vern, but by this point, Morgan already knows that he's not Vern, and a gunfight ensues. Good action.
A really good action
Yeah.
scene, yeah. But like everyone in the cafe is like dead.
Yeah,
Except
and-
for our heroes.
And Mila Kunis like kills a guy, like grabs someone's gun and shoots him, and then realizes, oh crap, what the hell did I just do?
Yeah, that was pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
I guess her training from Jupiter Ascending paid off.
That's the only thing that paid off from that movie.
But like, why would she be like shoot? Like, I don't even know who was like. She just starts shooting people. Like, how do you know which side is the one you want to shoot?
Well, I think it was the guy was about to kill her, so she shot him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember whether it was clear enough. I thought he was just like running towards her or something. We also have an old woman assassin in this part. Was that in the
Always
same scene?
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it was always the last one you'd expect. Oh, and then I also have a fondue drowning.
Oh, so I was wondering about what was that supposed to be fondue? Because that looked like Play-Doh. Like,
Well, I don't think it was Play-Doh.
well, but like the consistency of it seemed too thick to be like a cheese fondue. And I know that's a ridiculous thing to get hung up about, but it was like, that doesn't look like cheese fondue.
Well, I feel like they verbally said there's fondue here earlier.
Okay, I don't remember.
And then
Okay.
it comes back together. But also, isn't fondue like super hot?
Yes,
like,
it would
be, like-
burn you.
Yeah, but it looked like he drowned. Maybe
Both.
this movie's rated R, so it's not like a burning someone's face off.
True, and they do like have someone like have burns on their face later on. So I don't. So yeah, good question. Maybe it was cheese fondue. Okay, and this is a weird random side to take, but maybe it was cheese that was not on yet. So that's why it was not the right consistency.
Oh, they haven't put the Starno on.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
could be.
But yeah, so that sort of ends the big fight scene with Sebastian versus everybody. Then they run out the door, they steal a car, can't drive it because it's a stick shift.
Because this is Europe.
Do you know how to drive a stick shift?
I do not.
Okay, I learned how a long time ago,
Yeah.
and I like to think it'd be useful in case I ever
Right,
need to escape
I would
in a
love to. I
DeLorean.
just don't. Huh. DeLoreans are only stick shift?
I think so.
Oh boy. I'm screwed.
I mean, it just takes a little bit of practice. But nobody told me that the trick is that you have to, while the clutch is active, you have to like push down the gas while letting go of the clutch at the same time. Like nobody ever said that, so I'm telling it to you in case you ever need it. So yeah, there's this. What did you think of the scene where they were like rolling the car slowly downhill? While
I thought
the
it was
two
pretty
Austrians-
funny.
I thought it was like mildly amusing.
Okay. But so they get into an Uber with, do you remember the guy's name then? I don't remember what the guy's name is.
I didn't
yeah.
write it down. But that guy was like the best character in the
He
movie.
was pretty funny. And like he was saying a bunch of, so the Uber is for Mr. Wong, was it?
Yeah.
And obviously neither of them look anything like a Mr. Wong. You would assume might look like. But he just said, okay, we're driving. And like when they, we start getting to the car chase, he's getting into it.
Yeah, it's like he'd been waiting his whole life to be in a car chase and couldn't wait. Just jumped on the opportunity.
And then he gets shot in the head.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, so this is like, that's what I was saying, it was something like a mood whiplash thing going on. Because it was like being funny. And then, someone got killed. And it just sort of stops a little bit of the comedy.
Oh, yeah, by the way, his name was Lucas.
Lucas, there you
have it
go.
written down. So yeah, Lucas is really into the fight, and he's when there's an assassin on the roof of their car shooting at them, and they somehow don't die, which is just absurd, even by spy movie standards.
Yeah.
But you're right. Eventually, he does get taken out. Oh, also, do you remember the Hobbs and do you remember talking about the Hobbs and Shaw trailer where it shows them being chased by guys on motorcycles, and this one guy does like a drift. He like drifts his motorcycle under
that was
a
Idris
trailer,
Elba. Yeah.
and it's turned out to be Idris Elba. I'm like, yeah, because if it wasn't Idris Elba, that guy's really dedicated to his job. Same thing here, is the assassins get taken out in all kinds of crazy ways. And the guy who climbs the top of their car is like, wow, they must pay him really well. So, yeah, Lucas gets killed, and then Morgan says, "Great job, 5 stars, Lucas." Like, I get that it's supposed to be funny, but like, yo, he risked his, not only did he risk his life, he gave his life.
This is what I'm saying about the mood whiplash.
Well, like, do you think these characters are like bad people?
I think
like
Morgan might be.
Yeah. I didn't occur to me at the time, but I like thought about it later, and I'm like, are they like, because they're nice to other characters when they want something from them, and I think we're gonna get back to that.
All right. But yeah, well, I will say though, like with the motorcycle chase, I got a bit of like a Mission Impossible, like either Rogue Nation or Ghost Protocol with the motorcycle chases sort of vibe from that of car being chased by motorcycle. Like and like you said, the action is good, so I was engaged with the action in this.
Yeah, and for once, they didn't do the thing of like them trying to shoot back. Mm-hmm. They just and I like when they do try to throw things back, it's completely ineffective.
Yeah.
So then Gillian Anderson appears.
Yeah, so her character's name is Wendy, I believe.
Yes.
I don't know if we ever get a last name for her, but yeah, so she's in charge of the Joint Task Force, and Sebastian thinks that he has the package, but we find out it was just a decoy. This is where the world's best grandson trophy comes into play.
Mm-hmm. I like when they're talking, and then it looks like she's frozen, and she says, "Not frozen, just disappointed."
So, Gillian Anderson, she's not British, right?
No, she's American,
but she can do a really good British accent.
I think she lived in Britain when she was a kid.
Okay, so it's kind of like John Barrowman, where he, can do a great American accent, but he's actually like Scottish or something.
I don't really know what John Barrowman's origins are. I've heard when he breaks character, he speaks in a British accent, but. We've also seen him not be in character on at like AwesomeCon or whatever, and he speaks American. So Gillian Anderson is also British and all like Masterpiece Theater and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, in the second or third Johnny English. Yeah, I forget.
Anyways, they
make it to Austria.
Yeah. Wait. So they go to Prague, and they realize that they can't use their passports anymore because their faces are all over the news. So they have to find these 2 girls who. Vaguely look like them and try to convince them and tell them their whole sob story.
That part was ridiculous.
Yeah, I was like, no, why would you think, well, first of all, why would you think that they would believe you and let you just take your passport? So I would have more realistically liked them to just try to steal it at first. Like, it makes them seem really naive if they're trying to convince them to give them their passports.
Well, our heroes are kind of naive.
This is true.
So it works.
I guess, yeah.
I think it was ridiculous, first of all, because if they're wanted criminals and they're like in a post 9/11 world, the train stations are super secure and there would be cameras everywhere and police everywhere.
When was the last time you took a train? When was the last time you took a train?
I take trains all the time, but there are lots of police there. And cameras. You just don't notice because they're like hidden. Yeah. But so fine, you can like walk in and walk around. Yeah. That it doesn't really make sense, but I'm willing to buy it. But when they like beat up the 2 girls and like they don't beat them up. When they like steal their backpacks and stuff and then run onto a train.
Yeah, I almost buy it. I mean, this is what we're in. This is Ukraine, first of all. So.
Oh, they were made to Ukraine already? I thought they were still in Austria.
Sorry. This is Vienna. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, you're right.
So Vienna has a little more together.
Yeah.
If I were the writers, I would have had them come up with some other way to get out of the country. But
so
I did like the line, "We'll mail it back to you if we survive."
But yeah, and then we get a little cut to Berlin. There's seemingly like an underground fashion show, and there's an assassin whose name is Nadezhda.
I have Nadaya.
Something to that effect.
who like, we meet her and then she kills her manager.
Yep.
That's how you know she's hardcore.
So she's recruited to be an assassin to take them out.
Yep. There's not too much. I mean, this is a trope that we see in James Bond a lot, as well as other spy movies.
So I did like, there's a moment where she's getting instructions, but her like instructions are very vague. So take out the 2 American women, and like you see all these other pairs of American women who are either drunk or posing with taking selfies with statues, and like she's just like, I have no idea which one of these stupid American women these are.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of movies from the perspective of the cold-blooded assassin, just trying to find the right target. At least they gave her pictures, but it doesn't help very much. Then we have a couple more scenes of dialogue. We bring back that Audrey never finishes anything, and someone tells Morgan, "Anyone ever tell you you're a little much?" Which is like every Kate McKinnon character.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen Kate McKinnon in that many movies. I
mean,
saw like the Ghostbusters reboot.
Yeah.
Is that it?
She's in other. I feel like she's in other stuff that I just haven't seen, probably. But I have seen her on SNL.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Morgan calls her parents when they're in Prague.
Yeah, the best characters in the movie are her parents, I think.
And apparently her father has a friend in Prague who owes him a favor with Roger. But they also find out that there's a flash drive hidden inside of the base of the trophy.
Right.
And that's basically what this whole thing is about, is they're chasing after the flash drive.
Yeah, it's the MacGuffin. Well, I also like the lines from the parents where, "You're all over the papers, I'm so proud of you. Did you murder 2 people?" And then when they're talking about Drew, and they're like, "Oh, the handsome one?" And Morgan's like, "Oh, he was fine, I guess." I can't believe she says where they are on an open line, but...
Yeah, again, well...
I guess how else was she going to tell him?
Yeah, and these characters are pretty naive in terms of operational security.
As well as everything else.
Yeah.
But they like we mentioned, targets are 2 dumb American women, which I thought was a little uncalled for. I mean, maybe they're a little dumb, but they're smart enough to outweigh you, Mr.
But dumb enough to say where they are on an open line.
So then we're jumping to when they meet Roger.
Yeah. So
I like when she calls out Morgan for not being a vegan. It's like, Morgan, you're not a vegan. The very unfunny Balzac joke. It's like something out of Archer.
I would say Austin Powers actually did a good version of that joke, 15 years before this movie came out.
What was the Austin Powers one?
When we get to Austin Powers, we'll cover that.
I don't want to do Austin Powers.
What?
I think it's stupid.
No, they're great movies.
Okay, fine.
All right.
We meet Roger, who's played by this actor that I don't. He looks really familiar. I can't remember where he's from. He's in tons of stuff though, and he seems suspicious immediately.
Yeah, and starts being creepy towards Morgan. But what we think is flirting is him trying to poison her, basically.
Yeah,
and seemingly. Okay, so clarify this for me. Was what's her name? Was Audrey poisoned from the wine or something? That's why she was throwing up, or was she throwing up because she was trying to swallow the drive?
She wasn't trying to swallow the drive yet. So, see, okay, I remember this.
Okay.
So, Audrey leaves.
Yeah.
Because she was poisoned from the wine. Then she throws up. First of all, that seems confusing because I thought she was like at a standing sink with like a lid on it, but then it was a toilet.
Oh.
But then I was like, but wait, the sink's the same height as the toilet? No.
No, I think what you thought might have been the sink was the bidet. This is Europe.
Yeah, you're right. I thought it was a sink. So, there we go. Yeah. And then, so it's all the same level. The sink, then the bidet, then the tub. Okay, right. So they have all that. She finds the dead body. That whole reveal happens.
Yeah, so the reveal is that that's not actually Roger, it's an assassin.
Yeah. And then what happens is they get locked in the bathroom after being revealed. And then Morgan has to be the one to try to swallow the drive because Audrey's been throwing up.
Okay, got it. All right. That makes more sense.
That scene was like triggering my gag reflex, by the way. Also, it's like, you can't swallow a flash drive. Are they being serious right now?
I mean...
I don't know. Somebody watch Mythbusters and let us know how exactly a large object a human can swallow. And unless you're like a sword swallower or something, which I don't think she is. No. Also, then wouldn't that
But she does have circus training.
But wouldn't that destroy the flash drive too?
It seems, well, first of all, it doesn't look like a typical flash drive. It looks much more sophisticated. Like, it looks, I don't even see, drive. Yeah, I don't even see like the usual like USB port in it. So, I don't know.
Yeah. But it doesn't work. But again, the bad guys are being stupid here because it's like, okay, you have the 2 agents or whatever. You have the 2 targets and you have the drive. Why would you like leave them alone in a bathroom?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Even if they can't escape, they could have destroyed the drive, and then where would you have been?
So after they pass out from being poisoned, they wake up in an abandoned warehouse.
The classic
strung
spy
up by
location,
their arms,
right?
And Drew's parents are there.
Dun dun dun.
But they're not actually Drew's parents. Apparently, the time that Audrey met up with Drew's parents, they were having dinner as a cover to do a deal for the drive.
And they just decided to pretend that he was their son.
Apparently.
For some reason.
Well, insurance policy. For
what?
I don't know. For Drew? To make sure that they wouldn't just kill Drew in front of a random innocent bystander? Well, no, not random, but but in front of a witness.
So Drew brought Audrey
Yes.
to make sure they wouldn't kill him.
Yes.
But then why would they pretend to be his parents? I still don't get it.
As a cover.
Well, why couldn't they just be like his friends?
Age difference?
I don't know. I think it's because the movie wanted to have a thing with his parents being revealed to be bad guys.
All right.
Yeah, so they're in on it. I suppose that makes sense. Like, it didn't bother me that they were not who they said they were. Whatever. No need to go over it again.
Right. So, and during this whole thing when they're being tortured, Audrey tells them that she flushed the drive in a toilet. And so they get
very plausible.
Yeah. Because they were locked in the bathroom. So again, why would you do that? Why would you just leave them alone?
And why wouldn't you search them first? I guess it's because there wouldn't be a movie if they had. I like how they're Russians too, because that was a part in Glow where they're like, Russians are the best bad guys since the Nazis.
But yeah, so Nadja is there too, and apparently she's like a failed gymnast.
Mm-hmm.
So she stays to torture them and find out any information she can, while Drew's fake parents escape in a helicopter.
And now, at this point, I'm like, great, everything's been revealed, but the movie's only halfway over. So, oh my gosh.
So, Sebastian and Duffer and the team are en route. Do we know how they tracked them?
How they found them?
Yeah.
No.
Huh.
I don't remember.
All right.
Nor do I really care. But I did like when they were like, let's blow it up. Let's just blow it all up.
Yeah. So that's Duffer who's trying to do that, but Sebastian stops them, and he goes into the warehouse. Well, he, slams Duffer's head into the steering wheel and knocks him out, and goes in the warehouse, by himself to see if the girls are in there.
Going rogue, just like James Bond has done in the past few movies.
Again, he's rumored for the role.
I like the part where he jumps off the thing and tackles the guy.
Yeah. Again, great action.
Yeah, really, really good action. And by the way, since we're talking about the action scene where it's him versus the mercs, do you like the part with the mattress where he pulls the mattress over? So that reminds me of an article I read a while ago about cover versus concealment as a principle. So in gunfights, cover stops bullets.
Right.
Concealment does not.
Where you are.
Right.
Huh.
So in this case, a mattress is not cover. And in fact, they shoot right through it and wound him.
Right.
But
that's right.
But it functions as concealment because they can't kill him.
Right, because you can't. Well, because you're not sure where in this mattress he's behind.
Right. So in the article, it said that the cops most likely they did a study of cops, and they were like the cops most likely to survive gunfights were the ones who knew the difference between cover and concealment.
Huh. Interesting.
Well, it also because it makes sense because smoke, the U.S. military uses smoke as cover, but smoke doesn't stop anything.
No. Huh.
But you can hide soldiers behind a cloud, and they still. It's not that they can't be shot, but it's very, very unlikely that they will be.
Right.
All right, going back to the movie.
Yeah. So Duffer wakes up and he tells his team to blow the warehouse, and
there's a ticking time bomb now.
Yep. And grenades get thrown in, and as they're he finds the girls and they're escaping, and Morgan kicks one of the grenades right at Nadja and takes her out, and that's the end of her. Or is it?
Dun dun dun. Oh, by the way, one quick thing before that is when they're getting tortured and they're talking about each other's secrets. I thought that was kind of funny.
That was pretty good.
And also when they're trying to butter up Nadja, whatever, that gets back to what I was saying. They're nice to other people when they want something from them.
Well, I mean, in the case of a life and death scenario, that can be. I would say that can be forgiven. If you're trying to not die.
Yeah, well, sure, but it's I don't know. I think the thing with Lucas bothers me. That's why I keep bringing it up.
That's fair,
I also noticed in this scene that that Sebastian shoots in the direction of hostages.
Huh.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah. So
it also reminds me of the movie Spy with Melissa McCarthy, where actual spies are really competent and really good at fighting, but they end up getting killed anyway.
So yeah.
Also, Nadja uses a piece of wood to hit him, which is what happened to your sniper rifle? Do you remember that part?
No. Well, I mean, she is close range, so sniper rifles wouldn't necessarily be the.
No, but come on, you gotta have some other. You gotta have some other weapons, right? I mean, this is a spy movie.
But yeah, so Sebastian, Audrey, and Morgan go outside, and they're all taken into custody, and they're brought to the Joint Task Force, very sparse utilitarian headquarters.
Right. And then someone makes a comment about how she thought the intel office would be fancier. To that I say, have you ever been inside a government building?
Yeah. So we find out that the drive was made by this international terror group called Highland. And this is when Audrey and Morgan meet Gillian Anderson's character Wendy, and they're very impressed by her, and they make a Judi Dench reference, like we have a Judi Dench situation here.
Oh, I actually missed that the first time, or the only time I watched it.
The reference being that Judi Dench played M in the Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig movies.
Yep, and then Gillian says to Sebastian that it's closer to treason what he did, and I'm like, what? just for saving them? That doesn't sound right.
And so for going rogue, and this is something sometimes you get this in Bond movies, but for going rogue, he gets suspended.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. Punishment more or less fits the crime.
And so the girls are going to be sent back to L.A. See, this is where we find out that they were in L.A. And so Audrey is saying that she just wants to go home, but Morgan's saying, I want to stay. I want to be an agent. I want to do this.
But, why? I don't understand why.
She's having fun, and she may be a sociopath.
Okay, there you go. I sort of buy that. But I was like, yes, please go home, so then the movie could be over. Oh, snap. I also liked the part right after that when the Daya is revealed to still be alive. And was it she's talking to some random person? I don't remember who it is.
Some guy in she's in a sauna or a spa or something.
Oh, yeah.
And he comes up to her and is like, what's wrong with your face? And then she hits him pretty hard in the face, and knocks him out. I was like, what's wrong with yours?
Yeah, I like that. That should be in more movies. Yeah. It's a good comeback. They're on the news again.
Oh, well, we skipped over that Sebastian is going to gives them a ride to the airport, and that's when Audrey is saying, theoretically, what would we do if we still had the drive?
Oh,
and so he's like, well, we'd, open it up and see what they're after and do this, and this. He's like, why? He's like, well, and how explicit do we want to get on this podcast?
How specific?
How explicit do we want to
let's just say she hid it in a sensitive area.
Yeah.
Which I did you find that funny? I didn't find it that funny.
I mean, it was. I forgot about that was a thing in this movie, and it comes up with some great jokes, like later on when they're hiding it again, and he asks, "Where do you put this time?" It's just someplace safe. He's like, "Is it the same safe place that it was before?" And he's like, "You'll see." No, not you'll see, but just walk away.
Yeah. Also, I couldn't remember what they did with the drive. So for a while there, I thought maybe they did flush it. It ended up being somewhere.
Yeah.
But they're back in the game. I'm like, okay, that's where this movie's going now because we still have 45 minutes left. But I'm like, why are they on the news? Because the CIA thinks they're on their way home.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I know. Huh. I mean, I'm not the sort of person who, nitpicks movies that much.
I mean, it could just be that it's a slow news cycle and they have nothing else to report on, so they keep reporting on what's going on.
Yeah, I guess the CIA didn't tell their, news media context or whatever. They get a text message about murdering Morgan Freeman, and that's Morgan's name.
Yep.
That was a little funny.
Yeah, that was actually a nice joke. I like that they didn't start off with that. Oh, yeah, my name's Morgan Freeman. They, we see that, her parents' last names is Freeman, and her name's Morgan, and, until someone mentions it, we and Sebastian don't even think about it.
It's sort of like Mac, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia's name being Ronald McDonald, and you only learn that after 6 seasons.
Wow. But yeah, so they go to open the drive, but the drive apparently has State Department encryption on it, which means that it was made by the U.S. government and not by Highland.
Did they ever reveal what's on the drive?
They do. So
I must have blanked
Sebastian
out of that part.
Can't hack in a drive, so they need an expert on U.S. intelligence computer security. And so who do they call?
I don't remember.
Morgan calls Edward Snowden.
I forgot that.
How did you forget that?
I think so. I was writing on my computer notes, and sometimes while I'm writing, they say something and I miss it.
But yeah, there's a whole bit where she borrows some French people. So they're in a library and they borrow some French person's phone, and she calls Edward Snowden. You see him; he's got a very distinctive voice, and you only really see him in shadow, but you see looking out his window and you can see the Kremlin.
That does sound familiar. Maybe I should go back and watch it again.
Yeah. So I thought that was a neat bit. I was like, all right, they dropped it seemed like a randomly seeming, drop in fact about how she used to know Edward Snowden, and she actually calls in that favor.
Yeah, it all comes full circle.
Yeah. So Morgan, calls Edward Snowden, and he walks them through hacking the security, and he's saying individual keystrokes of $, $, percentage. I was like, is he having them code over the phone, like how long would that take to actually code out, a program that would hack the security?
Yeah, it's like, why would you even need to show that in the movie anyway? Just like skip. It's like, we get the idea. Just skip to it.
Yeah. So we find out after they hack in that the drive is a backdoor to the entire internet, is what they say. So you can access anyone's credit card information, any sort of personal information, probably nuclear launch codes. I don't know.
Wow, I must have missed a lot while I was writing that note.
Anything connected to the internet, basically, you can access, which seems like a big deal, and it raises questions of why the heck the U.S. government has this or created this.
Wasn't there some movie where it was like the same thing, where it was like the master key to the internet or whatever?
There's probably a lot of movies with that.
Oh, I might have been thinking of Ready Player One.
Yes and no. Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, so they go to Amsterdam, and we find out that Drew's fake parents are the head of Highland.
Mm-hmm. I like the scene where they're in the hostel and their new roommate busts in the door and they all pull their guns and he says Americans.
Yeah. So
Duffer also goes rogue.
Yeah. So we find out first of all that apparently Sebastian was in that bar when Audrey and Drew first met, and that Drew was supposed to kill the bartender who was an ISIS recruiter, which seemed
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you miss that too?
Yeah. Come on, this just goes pretty fast. I guess maybe I should or pause it before I write a note.
Maybe.
Or maybe I just thought it wasn't important.
I mean, it's a dropped point. It's like, really? That guy has an ice? He doesn't look like... We never also find out if he takes him out or not, or if he's too distracted by Audrey.
So it's just a coincidence that these two spies happen to be in the same place at the same
time. Drew and Sebastian were working together to capture this guy. So he was on comms the whole time.
Okay.
But he was so Sebastian heard everything.
You know what? That does sound familiar. Yeah. I mean, so I knew he was a spy there. I just forgot the whole ISIS angle.
Yeah. Anyway, so Duffer is waiting in the hostel room. He's got Morgan all tied up. And he's stealing the drive.
Because he's a bad guy, too.
Yes. Well, it's undetermined whether he was always a bad guy or he's just a bad guy now or what.
I mean, he was like turned or something like that.
But so he's going to steal it to sell it to the highest bidder.
He uses cripple as an insult, which I thought was very uncalled for.
Yeah. And then, so they're all, they're being held up at gunpoint and they really can't do anything. And then the big,
Dutch guy?
I think so. I think he was Dutch. Mm-hmm. Who's staying with him in the hostel, takes him out.
and takes him out, he kills him.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he killed him at first, but then they're like getting rid of his body. Like, oh crap, he killed him.
Yeah.
But he thought it was like someone who was trying to take all their stuff, like a robber.
Yeah.
So it was fine, but it's like, whoa.
I would have liked a scene of him like crying or something. Yeah. Just to establish that there's a little bit of consequences to killing even a bad guy.
But yeah, so they're trying to get rid of Duffer's body, and his phone rings, and it's someone's asking if they have, and it's a text message saying if he has the package. And there's a funny bit where this is before the times of Face ID, or actually there's only the movie's like only a year or two old, so the Face ID was around, but less common.
Also, in the fictional world of spying, there's all sorts of Face IDs. And
yeah, that's true. But anyways,
eye scanning and
so
whatever.
They need Duffer's thumbprint to keep opening his phone, and he gets to the point where Audrey cuts off his thumb just so that they have okay, and puts it in her lipstick container, which I thought was funny.
We've seen that before. This movie has way too many twists and turns. They should have added more jokes, less crazy plot twists, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. So they use the phone to contact who the buyer is, and they set the drop for someplace in Berlin where there's going to be a gala where they're going to do the handoff. And they kidnap and tranquilize the Canadian ambassador and his wife and poses them to get into the gala.
And they had Audrey do the tranquilizing, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. I think at this point, Sebastian still has a sling on his arm, so he can't really do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But he very quickly heals for the next few scenes.
But also, Kate McKinnon seems to be the one who's more into the spy stuff.
True.
But I guess Audrey knows how to shoot people.
That's because she, and that's the thing we didn't even mention, that she's playing video game Point Blank, which if any of you guys remember from as a classic shooter arcade game where you're shooting targets.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I played that all the time.
So that's a good point though. It establishes that she's good with guns, sort of. Even though I've been told video games really doesn't prepare
very different.
you
no.
for actual using guns.
Yeah.
Nadia comes back looking like a Borg drone.
I was going to wonder if you were going to mention that. Yeah, she looks... Well, so she's... Like, part of the gala is like a Cirque du Soleil style, like, troupe performing. So a Borg drone fits in, kind of.
Sure. I mean, why not?
Yeah, so this is where it's like another sort of dropped line that, oh yeah, Morgan went to circus camp and knows how to do the trapeze.
Yeah, this reminds me of like a character from Dungeons and Dragons where you just write things in their backstory to explain how you can do stuff. Oh, she knows Edward Snowden. Oh, she did the circus camp, etc.
So we see that Drew's fake parents are at the gala, and Sebastian says that his cover's blown because they see him. Mm-hmm. So he goes in the back and he gets knocked out by a mysterious figure that we don't know anything about. And then Audrey gets a text from the buyer it says to meet in the artillery room. And while this is going on, Morgan's, trying to look for Sebastian. So she goes up to the trapeze platform to get a bird's eye view.
Yeah, that's the reason.
And we find, in the artillery room, we find Drew. Drew's still alive.
Oh, man. The twist that everybody saw coming.
And he's the one who knocked out Sebastian.
And now he's a bad guy, but he says, you can trust me, but he was trying to sell the drive in the first place. Yeah. So I guess he's not a good guy.
And while this is happening, so Nadja is on the opposite trapeze platform from Morgan, and they have a trapeze fight, which I thought was really cool.
I like the trapeze fight, but it was a little bit absurd that Kate McKinnon would even have, like, a chance.
Yeah.
Unless she, like, exercises a lot.
Yeah, fair. But there are some good, like, camera moves. I was wondering, like, how did they get that move? Because there's, like, a camera, like, move where she goes out onto the trapeze, and the camera, like, zooms around her, and she's moving it on the trapeze. Like,
yeah, maybe with a crane. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a highlight. It wasn't really quite the same as, like, the cafe fight or the earlier gunfights. Like, it wasn't as quick, but, give them points for creativity.
Yeah, so, and during the trapeze fight, Nadja is, like, killed by being impaled on, like, a giant anchor that's... First of all... It's just there as, like, part of, like, the gala decorations, but if you have trapeze, that seems like really poor planning, like, on the part of, like, the trapeze, or, like, the circus troupe.
Well, they had a net.
Yeah, but if they miss the net and hit the anchor, they'll get impaled, which is what happens.
Well, that's probably why the anchor was there. Wasn't there a lot of blood in the part where she was impaled, too?
Yeah.
And the movie was pretty bloodless before that.
I don't know, when Lucas got shot, there was some blood there.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
But, the whole time, the audience in the gala, I think this is all part of the show.
It's all part of the show.
Yet they also think that when she gets impaled, it's also still part of the show.
Oh, why? They start, like, clapping or
something?
Yeah.
When, like, Morgan, like, sticks the landing after dropping.
It's amazing what they do special effects these days. But it's like, I like how she commits murder again, but I guess everybody's cool with that. I guess maybe you could try to explain it as, like, an accident.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to Drew versus Sebastian versus Audrey, I noticed that he calls them mom and dad as he kills them.
Yeah, so I'm thinking they weren't actually his parents, but that was just like a joke.
Wait, they were?
Weren't.
No. Oh, yeah, but
yeah.
I feel like...
But it was a nice joke. Mom, dad.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess maybe for clarity, you should have been like, Mom. You should have said it in a way that's like, Mom. Like to make it a little bit more clear. But whatever. And he also kills Sebastian.
He shoots Sebastian.
And then he's going to kill Audrey too, but then Kate McKinnon sneaks up and then fires a prop gun in a museum exhibit.
Right.
What?
Well, she's not even that. She was trying to get the gun out of, like, the mannequin's hand, and then it goes off.
I mean, I don't know what we should expect from this movie, but...
In what world would it... First of all, would it be a real gun? Maybe.
Probably not.
But probably not. And also, would it be loaded with gunpowder and a bullet? Because it's like a revolutionary, or maybe Civil War.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, era gun.
Of all the most unrealistic things in this movie, that has to take the cake.
Yeah, but then she causes a distraction, but Drew still got Audrey, at gunpoint, and then Morgan throws a cannonball at his head. It's like, okay, that I buy.
I guess Morgan's really strong.
Yeah.
I did like that part. So then Audrey gets the gun. She's holding Drew at gunpoint. And I'm like, so what? She kills Drew and, like, then what?
Well, I liked how she quotes his breakup text.
Wait, I don't remember that.
Yeah, so he was like, it's over. sorry, gotta go, and then pulls the trigger.
Geez, talking about holding a grudge.
I mean,
You think she'd never been dumped before?
Alright, and without going into too much of my personal history, getting dumped by text is the literal worst thing.
Is unforgivable.
Yes.
The unforgivable curses. Okay, fine. Also, but I like how before that, he's like goading her into shooting him.
Right.
He's like, you never finish anything. Like if I say about human life, let alone your own. And then Morgan gets a quip in when he gets arrested.
Yeah. She pulls the trigger, and there's just a click, and it's because she had taken the magazine out of the gun and just wanted to, mess with him. So the police come in, they arrest Drew. We find Sebastian is still alive. He had a bulletproof vest on.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like that they say, it's going to save your life, but it's still going to hurt like hell.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
realistic, yeah. It's not like one of these things where, I'm hit, but I'm okay.
It's like they go groan and they rub their hand on it and they're fine. That's like in Die Hard a lot. Okay, so everybody's happy. The second scene with the parents is not quite as funny as the first one. And they yell stuff about spies and CIAs and the CIA and all this stuff in the middle of a crowded room or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, yo, just stop yelling it.
So Wendy interrupts the call that Morgan, because Morgan used Sebastian's phone to make the call, and Wendy interrupts the call and says that Sebastian can have his job back, and then Morgan takes it to mean that she's also coming to work there, and Wendy's trying to be clear that she's not, but
I guess it's left ambiguous.
Yeah, well, and then Sebastian and Audrey kiss, and it's revealed that Morgan this time swallowed the drive, and now they need to destroy it, so they have to wait for it to pass.
Yes. Ending on a shit joke. That's this movie. I mean, not ending on it.
Yeah. Well, so there's a 1 year later scene. And Audrey and Morgan are in Tokyo for Audrey's birthday. And Morgan's got a microphone again, is saying happy birthday. And, there's that, this time it doesn't say point blank, but it's arcade shooting game again. And she had programmed it to say happy birthday Audrey on the screen. And we have Sebastian waiting in the shadows with a gun. And, we find out that the microphone is also a taser. And that the arcade guns are actually just real guns and they use them to assassinate a bunch of people.
Wait, what?
Did you miss all of this?
Was it a post-credit scene?
It was right after it's a directed by, yes.
Oh, well. I think I turned the movie off as soon as I possibly could. That was really a post-credit scene?
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, it was a minute after... No, not even 10 seconds after the movie that ending with the credits.
I was just couldn't wait to hit the B button on my Hulu player.
That's hilarious. So
what happened? They just kill a bunch of people?
They kill a bunch of people and they're looking like badasses.
Okay, well I do like the action scenes, so you can go back and check it again.
But yeah, and that comes down to the movie. So as you might understand, with this movie, we don't have much for spy fact or spy fiction. The only thing I was going to talk about is maybe did Edward Snowden go to theater camp, but I couldn't find anything about that.
All right, I'm sure curious minds would want to know.
And then also, so like we said, we mentioned that the Judi Dench reference was a reference to M in the Bond movies. And this is a roundabout thing, but, her character was based on Stella Remington, who was the first woman to be the head of MI5 in real life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, shall we go to our ratings?
Yeah. Would you like to go first? As always, we do ratings between 1 and 10 martinis.
Yeah.
1 being the worst, 10 being the greatest.
I'm going to give this a 5.
Okay. So you think it's average?
It's average. It's in the middle. It's some of the jokes were funny. Action was good, but it's not an essential viewing.
Okay, I'm going to be a little harsher. I'm going to say 3 out of 10.
All right. I was wavering between 4 and 5, and I said, you know what? The action's good enough for me to give it a 5.
I like the action, but there just wasn't enough of it, and it was so long, and most of the jokes weren't that funny. So I've been trashing it this whole time, so I couldn't be too kind with the ratings.
All right,
is that it?
Yeah, so that's it. So
next time
we will be covering Valkyrie, which also is a long movie, but hopefully will be more entertaining.
And it stars Christian's favorite actor of all time, Tom Cruise.
Well, one of a few. It's up between him, Chris Evans, and Daniel Craig, really.
Okay. But yeah, I don't have some really good, in my humble opinion, spy fact versus fiction, so stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. I've been Christian.
I've been Zach.
And we are the Spy-Fi guys, signing off. Thank you for listening to the Spy-Fi Guys. If you enjoyed our podcast, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. The theme song from this podcast is Mistake the Getaway by Kevin MacLeod from Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Films, books, and television shows reviewed by our podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended.